Hello everybody, I am Tynan Sylvester, and this is RimWorld Alpha 13. It's been a long time coming, but that means that there's a ton of new stuff for us to show you, so let's get into it. The big new exciting central feature here that we've added, although we've added hundreds of things, is relationships. Now your colonists are not just these little robots who go around and do work that you've assigned for them. They actually get to know each other and have opinions of each other and respond to those opinions. And they can form relationships like becoming lovers, becoming fiancés, getting married, and so on, including marriage ceremonies and breakups and ex-lovers, ex-spouses, and so on. So let's take a look at some of this. Most of it's concentrated on the social tab here. So here you can see we have our three colonists. Hippo, Aliona, and Mask. In any case, they have some relationships between them here. And you can see those on the social tab here. So you can see Mask, and because Maskin is his ex-wife, it seems he really doesn't like her very much. See here, Mask's opinion of Maskinen is minus 79, which is actually really negative. And I'll tell you about what that means in a second. But you can see the reasoning behind it. So for example, on this list, just being an ex-wife gives minus 15. Having done pleasant chit-chats together gives plus 10. Now having been divorced, so it turns out Maskinen divorced Mask, and that leads to minus 70. So the reason he hates her so much is because she divorced him. And she slighted him and insulted him, which added another minus 17. But they had a deep talk, which added a plus 13. So adding all that up, he has a massive minus 79 opinion of her. Now her opinion of him is not the same. They can be asymmetrical. So she's looking at Mask, and her opinion of him is only minus 33. Because he didn't divorce her, she divorced him. She just didn't like him very much. What that means is that because they hate each other, when they interact, they're more likely to do negative interactions like insults and slights. And those can lead to negative outcomes. Most specifically, they can get in a fight. And if they get in a fight, then they'll get hurt, and so on and so forth. And it gets ugly. And that's bad for your colony, to have people fighting and hating each other all the time. So the colonists can have various other types of relationships as well. Looking at these ones, you can see that Mask here has a bond with Vlad. Vlad is not a person. Vlad is actually this friendly warg down here. And Mask is bonded to the warg. So that means that Mask will want to have contact with Vlad and be happy being connected with Vlad. If Mask dies, Vlad might go crazy in an interesting way. So what you're going to find is that if you have a Beastmaster type character who controls animals a lot and is very good at it and has a big group of trained attack animals or something like that, he's going to develop bonds with them over time. And you're going to want to keep that guy alive, because if he dies, then the animals might become really unhappy really fast. And that can be bad when they're bloodthirsty wargs. So looking at the other characters, a lot of them just have acquaintance relationships, which aren't marked with any name here. So these are just people who have met. They don't have any particular relationship, but they can have opinions of each other, of course. So these ones have just had little chit-chats, and they've slighted each other here and there, and nothing too extreme because this is a new colony. And here, there's Aliona, who's a 50-year-old woman, and Mask is actually her daughter. And you can see that they really seem to like each other quite a bit. Okay, so being a mother gives plus 30, and they seem to have 8 deep talks, which has really pumped up their mutual relationship liking. So they love each other. It's a very strong mother-daughter bond. So what else you can do with this system is, over time, these relationships can develop and grow. I'm going to set up a lover relationship between some colonists, and then we can move to fiancé and see the marriage go down. So here I'll just make them a little bedroom. We now have double beds, which can actually be used by 2 people in a couple, and they will prefer being in that double bed together. And they may get up to some lovin' at night if they are in that double bed together and of appropriate age, and so on and so forth. let's just create some new colonists so that we can create a bit of a lover relationship here. So ordinarily this happens when the colonists talk to each other and then one tries to romance the other, and maybe it's accepted and maybe not. In this case, we've just caused these two to become lovers. So Gilbert and Maskinen are now together, which means that Gilbert's opinion of Maskinen affects his mood. So if he has a lover he really doesn't like, it will make him less happy. And the fact that he doesn't sleep with his own partner also makes him unhappy. So what we can do now is assign them this bed. They'll do this themselves automatically. Gilbert and Maskinen, who are the lovers. And now we go to look at any of them, and now they're happy because they get to sleep together. So now if we make them really tired, they should go and they'll use the bed together, so to speak. So these relationships can come from a number of sources. Sometimes you'll just start the game with some colonists who have some sort of ex-lover, lover, wife, husband relationship. They can also appear from off the map. So say you recruit a pirate, then later on when that pirate's faction attacks, or maybe even someone else, it might be his brother as part of the attacking force. And then if he ends up killing his brother, or someone else kills his brother, that'll create an opinion offset. So, you know, if he's married to someone in the colony and then his wife kills his brother in combat, despite the fact that his brother is attacking the colony, he might be a little bitter at her. So these relationships come from everywhere, and you're gonna see a lot of relations, and I hope it'll add a lot of color and story building to the game, because this game is of course a story generation system more than anything, or at least that's what I've been going for. So now I'd like to show you a marriage. So now Padilla and Hippo are fiancés, and after a while they'll call their marriage ceremony. Colonists are gathering to celebrate Padilla and Hippo's marriage. See, now they're in a little party. They're having a little party, which means they're socializing a lot more. You can see the talking going on here. So now when they have social interactions, it's not just this random, like always a chit chat. It can have different content depending on what they decide to do and what the relationship is like. So these people are mostly doing chit chats. And now they're beginning the marriage ceremony. So you can see they're doing it in a mine for some reason because they're dumb, but it still works. Padilla and Hippo are facing each other, and here's the people looking down on them, despite the fact there's a rock in their way. Speed it up a little. And they've married, and now everyone is celebrating the occasion. So they have another party afterwards. And attending a wedding makes everyone very happy. So you can see these colonists are unhappy by default because they're joy deprived and uncomfortable and so on and so forth. But because they attended a wedding, that makes them feel a lot better. So these sorts of occasions can save your colony from spirals of insanity, which might otherwise destroy it. So next up, I want to show you an interesting threat that we've added to the game. A lot of people create these deep tunneling colonies because it's very secure and because there's resources down here, and that's fine. But I want to make sure that there's a reasonable balance between those and the kinds of colonies that you build out in sort of a village style. So we've added a new type of enemy, or a new type of attack essentially, infestation. Say, oh no, a bug hive has emerged. It will keep reproducing and spreading new bugs as long as you leave it alive. So there it is, the hive is there. We can grab our people and go to Destroyer, but it has spawned a bunch of bugs. Now these things are actually pretty dangerous, and they're underground and at close quarters with your colonists. So I'm going to cut off the mines so that people don't wander into there, because they'll get torn apart by the mega spiders and the spelepedes. And this is sort of a mixed bag, because it can be a very deadly underground fight to go after these guys. It's really going to depend on melee skill and perhaps burning them out, or some whatever tactic you can try to come up with. But you can also try to get some use out of them, because the hive feeds the insects by producing the stuff called insect jelly, and the bugs eat it, but everyone else loves it too because it never degrades and it tastes really good and everybody can eat it. So, and it's quite valuable. So you can try to farm this stuff or go on raids and steal it from the bugs. But it can be dangerous as well because the bugs are dangerous and they're always reproducing. And the bugs, in addition, will slowly dig their way out of wherever they happen to be. In addition, the hive itself will reproduce. So I can make that happen here. Usually it happens every day or two, but I can just force it to happen with debug commands. So I've done that, and there's now another hive down here. And then they'll reproduce again. That would make 4. So we can do that. And each of these is now producing new bugs, slowly over time. So after a while, if you leave this, they also produce insect jelly over time. So I'm just simulating the kinds of things that would happen if you left your bug hive for a while. These bugs continue to exist. So, it's your choice if you want to sort of try to contain them and farm them a little bit, or burn them out as quickly as possible, or set up a turret line to shoot them down, or set up some sort of trap. Okay, so there's a new other thing I want to talk about, which is the breakdowns. Previously, of course, everything could take damage, and it would get this icon on it when it did. But now buildings, when they take damage, we've changed it to these scratches, which are a bit more subtle, which appear, as you can see. They're a bit less annoying to look at. But this icon will appear when the mechanical building has a breakdown. And a breakdown is a specific type of degradation that requires a specific resource to fix. That resource is components. Components are essentially like a mixture of wires and cranks and tubes and capacitors and electronic things. It's sort of a vague idea of anything that's technological. Anything sort of industrial or 20th century technology, you're going to need some components to produce. You can't, dig a rock out of a wall and produce a gun turret or an automatic electric door or something like that with it anymore. I didn't want to get too detailed because it can get really fiddly to have dozens of tubes and hoses and rubber and all these resources, so it's just all components right now. And they're necessary to repair things that have broken down, like this auto door. So that's what Price is doing right now. Now components, they sort of add a tech layer to the game because you can't produce them for a long time. You can find them, you can take apart chunks of ships that fall from the sky. Here's one, ship chunk. Take that apart and get a few components from it. There's some that are like packed under the ground from ancient ruins, or you can discover them underground. And you can buy them, but it is a limit on how much tech you can pump out. Until at the very top of the tech tree, you can create a component assembly bench. Let's go through some of the buildings which actually use these things. I've added a bunch of buildings and research and such. We have fuel generators. You can produce electricity out of wood instead of just out of solar or wind or geothermal. So this is really useful sometimes. It's a consistent electricity supply when there's no wind or no sun and you don't have geothermal. You can use wood burning, and your colonists will refuel it, of course. You can turn it on and off and so on and so forth. Now it probably wouldn't be a good choice here because it's a desert and there's not exactly a lot of wood here, but that's how the biomes affect the game. In any case, Hippo is fueling this. You can see on the new progress bar how long she's taking to do that, and now that it's on, it's glowing red. Everything's hunky-dory with that. There's also a fueled smithy, similarly, and a fueled stove. So you can run quite a bit without electricity at all in sort of a middle industrial level, just by using wood-burning things. To that end as well, there's now 2 research benches. One is the simple research bench, which looks like that, and it can do some of the lower tech research tasks. And the high tech research bench requires a bunch of components and its own research to get to, and it looks like that. And to add on to that, of course, we already have the multi-analyzer, which unlocks the final set of research projects. In terms of the actual research projects themselves, there's quite a few more now. For example, some plants require research, like Devil Strand, that long-growing, slow-growing mushroom that produces the very valuable Devil Strand. That requires research to understand how to grow it. Some of these were here before, but some of them weren't, like the tube television, which you can now produce yourself out of components if you research it. Fire foam, I'll get into that in a bit. Large rockets, you can make triple rocket or single-shot massive rocket launchers. The component assembly is required for the component assembly bench. Powered armor, you produce powered armor. Charge shot lets you produce charge rifles. Multi-barrel weapons, you can make miniguns. Essentially, you're going to have multiple steps of building, researching, building, researching, building to get through all of these. How is our bug colony? Oh, okay. They've broken into the kitchen area as well now. So they are expanding. they will dig into the ground, and they're digging out into the colony as well. Now, as I was mentioning, fire foam. Now that is a new way to fight fires. It's this thing called the fire foam popper. Previously, you could only fight fires by essentially having your colonists go up and punch them, which worked, but I always wanted more. So now you can place this building here, and then if fire touches it, or if you trigger it, it's going to basically pop and produce all this foam that sprays everywhere and extinguishes fire. But it's really ugly, and you're going to have to clean it up afterwards. And of course, it itself costs something to build. So let's imagine for a second that we've got a fire in the storeroom. If the fire touches the popper, it will of course go off. But even if it doesn't, we can run our guys up to it and trigger it manually. So let's send Hippo in to do that. He's doing it. Oh! So the place is covered in fire foam now. And all the fires are out, which is great, but now you have to clean all this stuff up. So, you know, there you go. What can I say? It's a new way to fight fires. Let's check out the next exciting chapter in this little adventure. I've generated a prison section down here, like you might have built if you'd fought a few battles and captured a few people. Now you're going to discover that there's a new threat involved in having prisoners, which is prison breaks. So, let's just make one happen. This will happen randomly, of course, and it depends on how angry your prisoners are, and how many there are, and how healthy they are. Because, you know, a 90-year-old grandma who can barely move is probably not going to try a prison break, although it could happen. But let's do a prison break right now. Starting with Furnigen. Prison break! Oh no! So, you get an alert. Prisoners have staged a breakout. They've somehow defeated the door lock and are making their way out. They may seek weapons, fight, or try to escape. These prisoners are involved. Then we have a list of everyone. So what they're going to do is they're going to leave in groups, then try to regroup, then do a combination of just trying to get away and getting weapons on their way out so they can fight you. So we're going to set up a quick response group here. Let's put some people here because I think that's where they might leave. Alyona can go over there. Von Doom, make your way in there. Now some of them are running to get the weapons from where the bugs are. And they're trying to leave, so I've blocked them. You could just let them escape if you don't want to fight them. Because they will shoot back and they will do real damage to you. So some of them are getting away. Some people are getting hurt pretty badly here. I actually think I'm close to being outnumbered by my own prisoners. Not quite. So these ones are locked down here. They've stolen their machine guns and they're now firing at the turret. My guys have taken some damage here. Oh, they just finished off the turret. Gilbert is currently getting hammered here, and I'm going to send Von Doom up to try to, meanwhile, these three are going to take shots from Enflade. So Komboa and Brexio, congratulations. After an extremely bloody fight on your way out, you have escaped. And now they're going to be able to make their way across the map and get away in their little prisoner group. And that will be that. Usually you probably won't have 8 prisoners all escaping at once with machine guns. But depending on how you lay your base out, they might be able to get your weapon supplies. So that's going to be something that players are going to want to think about from here on out. The next thing I would like to show you, it is predators. So let's drop a couple cougars in here. No, not attractive older women, but actual cougars is in the feline kind. And what do cougars like to eat? Well, they'd probably go for chickens, chinchillas, yes. Let's put some chinchillas around. So there's some chinchillas, cutest animal in the game, maybe not. And let's make these cougars pretty hungry. So the cougars will, of course, eat meat if they can find it, and so on. But unlike in the previous versions of the game, natural predators can't just magically eat grass. So they're going to have to eat living things, and that's what they do. So this cougar is currently hunting the chinchilla, and because the chinchilla is so small, the cougar has no problem taking it out in one hit. And now it will proceed to consume the chinchilla's corpse. Now it'll consume the whole thing. In other cases, like for example, you could have a cat, a colony cat that would hunt squirrels, for example. And it could hunt the squirrels, and that's good, but it can also eat corpses, like it'll eat dead people, and it'll eat parts of the dead person at a time. So if you look in their health, the corpse's health, you can of course see if there are missing body parts, and you'll see more and more missing body parts appear, like it'll eat their fingers and so on and so forth. So we did a bunch of work to make all of that function. And you can then retrieve the corpses that are being eaten by cats or wolves or whatever, and butcher them up, and you'll get an amount of meat proportional to the amount of their body that's actually not already been eaten by animals. And I know what you're asking. Yes, your colonists can be the targets of predators. So to catch a predator, you're going to need to use the new Colonist automatic intelligence system. So here we have the threat response. There's 3 settings in the threat response. You can set them here or in the assign screen. The 3 settings are flee, ignore, or attack. So previously, colonists would just totally ignore any kind of threat around them. So they would just walk right through a battle to pick up a piece of metal or something, just to build something. It didn't make any sense. Now there's a configurable response, which is they can either run away, or they can attack whatever the threat is, or they can ignore it as before. So for example, oh, is it happening naturally? So this door is open. So Walter saw the bugs. I'm just gonna run some people into the bug colony, turn off their control, and now they have their threat response right there, which is they have a exclamation point, and then they run the hell away and they cower a little bit. So because I've unlocked this, the colonists are now going to go in there to collect items and such. But they'll walk in the door and immediately see that there's huge, disgusting, threatening insects, and then they're just going to run away. And you can configure that for them to attack as well. That'll make your life a little bit easier. People won't just be wandering into their own deaths in incredibly stupid ways. The next thing I want to show you is that not every trader is a spaceship anymore. Now we have traders that come on the ground. So here is a group of traders from a nearby tribe. They come from one of the factions that are in the world nearby you and have good relations with you. So this is a benefit of having good relations with other factions, which is that they'll send traders. And they have pack animals and other animals to sell. So the Muffalos are carrying all their stuff, and you can look in the Muffalos' inventory to actually see what they're carrying. In this case, he's got capybara meat, cobra flesh, steel, lab fur, silver, components, herbal medicine. They all have these sorts of things. That one's got jade, which is a new building material, fancy building material for you. And they also come with slaves, which they're willing to sell you, which you can make join your colony, as well as other animals, which they'll just sell to you as well. So here they seem to be selling an iguana, several Yorkshire Terriers, and some Labrador Retrievers. So this is a nice little trade caravan from, let's see here, what's the faction? From Baralegua. And we're going to let them arrive. And then we'll send a negotiator to talk to Redfields, who you can see from that question mark is the trader on their side. So I'm just going to use Padilla because he's close by. And then it's just the same old trade interface that you're used to. So say we want to buy 38 fertilized tortoise eggs. That would cost 611 silver, which I could pay, but I'd rather sell them insect jelly. And now it'll only cost 17 silver because I just sold a bunch of insect jelly. And I'll buy a 3-year-old female Labrador Retriever. And I will sell all of our herbal medicine. So we'll accept that trade. And great, now it's been resolved. They've now got the insect jelly and stuff on their Muffalos. Let's see who got it. Who got it? Yeah, so that Muffalo is now carrying the insect jelly I sold to them. And the Labrador Retriever is now part of our colony and named Amber, apparently. And we can train her to haul and so on and so forth. The space traders are still there. They're just a bit more occasional and mixed in with the ground traders. So if you want to get the maximum number of traders, you're still going to want to build the orbital trade beacon and the comms console. So that's probably the big ticket items right there. I want to show you some of the large number of smaller changes that we've made. Oh, look, the bugs have finally broken out, and now are fighting this group of traders while my colonists run away and hide in Gilbert and Maskinen's bedroom. So that's serendipitous. Oh, someone needs to work on their bow skills because it's not working out well for their friends. In any case, so we've got new types of infections. Some of them are actually beneficial, like the mechanite infections. And there are new chronic diseases that colonists can have. For example, your colonists can get carcinoma, or they can have asthma or hearing loss. So congratulations, your old colonists can now be messed up in entirely new and creative ways. There's now a system that keeps character records for every character in the game. So if you look at this character, if you go to his info tab, you can go to his records and basically see everything he's done. So Gilbert, in this case, has been a colonist for 2 days and 14 hours. He spent 1 day and 5 hours in bed, 9 hours in bed for medical reasons, 1.6 hours finding food and eating, 4.6 hours on gaining entertainment, and so on and so forth. Taken 36 damage, gone crazy once, hauled 16 things. These are just for fun. I thought people might be interested in seeing who's actually done what over the course of a long colony. There's been some timing changes in the date. You'll notice the time is now measured in seasons, and that's because while the actual play length of the year is the same, it's split up into a smaller number of days. Each day is twice as long, and there are half as many of them per year. This allows you to actually accomplish more during a given day. Because before we found people were like, the colonists would run across the map and, mine like one square and then run all the way back because the day was just too short to get anything done. So now they're twice as long, but there are half as many of them. But this meant that each month was 5 days, which is a little too short to be reasonable. So now we're measuring them in 15-day seasons, which also makes sense, I think, because it's not Earth and there's no reason for them to be measured in exactly Earth months. There's a bunch of new things to build. There's like a fancier royal bed you can build that's like really beautiful, and it's got like gold trimming on it. You can buy these televisions. I'm going to spawn a mega screen television and tell my guys to install it. Right there. Stanley just went insane. Okay, so this colony is really starting to disintegrate because I'm not doing anything to stop it from doing so. So I'm going to spawn some new people. Emmy is going to install this mega screen television, which is 3 cells wide and is incredibly gigantic and attractive, and will now entertain anyone who wants to sit and watch it in this area here. So I'll just put down some armchairs. Why not? So this place is looking pretty bad, but they've got a really nice TV. And you can even do things like put a bed with a sick person in front of it, and then the sick person will watch TV. So you have Maskinen who's not watching TV there. There's actually a new biome, but when it gets hot enough, the world will generate a extreme desert biome, which I am going to start a colony in. Here, it's right here. And here's our colonist generation. You can see their relationships there. So we're starting with 2 lovers. So here we are in the extreme desert biome. As you can see, it looks pretty much like the desert, but it's even more harsh, as in there are even less animals and even less plants, and it's hotter. So for those of you who really like those extreme challenges, you can try out here. We have made one change to make this survivable because the testers found it was actually impossible to survive in certain situations, which is now if you tunnel deep enough underground, the rock, as in the thick roof above you, will provide a slight cooling effect. Just like in real life, really deep tunnels in the desert will be a little cooler than the surface. So that's a way to survive extreme heat without cooling technology or electricity for at least a while, although you won't be able to go outside. So that is it for Alpha 13. It's been a while and there's a ton of new stuff, and I'm really hoping you guys like it. So check it out. I tweet at Tynan Sylvester. I'm always on the forums at ludion.com/forums. That's pretty much it. I hope you guys like it. See you next time.